All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome. This is Chuck with Electric Scooter Guide, and you are watching our live chat show number 8. We have a real special show for you today. I'm just gonna. I think it's working. If you can't see this, just let me know. It should be. Yeah, it's working. So this is live chat number 8, and we have a special guest with us, the Boosted Rev Scooter. We just finished doing performance testing on it, and we're going to show you all of our results. We also have the product manager, I think his name is Sean Flanagan, to help us with answer some questions for all of you about the Boosted Rev today, which is great. So let's see here. So Electric Scooter Guide, our mission is to simplify the electric scooter market with unbiased and data-driven reviews, buying guides, all that stuff. It's really a big hassle to figure out how to get your electric scooter. There's tons of misinformation out there. It's a new industry. It's unregulated. That's why we're here to provide actual real deal testing for safety, for comfort, for all these things, and provide our audience with reviews. So that's what we do. All right, well, I'm going to get a ticket because I'm not going to move my car. You guys are too important. Okay, so we do this every Tuesday at 12:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Let's see, I will be gone the next 2 Tuesdays. I'm going to London. Ben Fox, if you're out there, I'm coming over to the other side of the world. I'm a huge fan. Love to connect if you're watching. Shout out to Ben Fox. Inspiring videos. Y'all should watch them. If you'd like to join our community, check out our, of course, this YouTube channel. Please subscribe to the video so you can get notified when we have new stuff coming out, because we do not only these live chats, but we do reviews and a bunch of other stuff. You can follow us on Instagram because we're always updating our Instagram whenever we get a new scooter, posting photos, videos, giving, just kind of keeping you all up to date. And then finally, if you have a question about any scooter at all, you can go to the our Facebook group, which the link is in the video description. Ask your question there. You can ask it. We respond to comments on the YouTube videos and everything else, but it just gets a little overwhelming with all the questions that we get. So what I really recommend is to just go to the Facebook group, ask the question there. We try to answer all questions within 24 hours, but you'll also get our entire scooter enthusiast community to help answer your question as well. Okay, so some news real quick first. Number one, there is a Mercane wide wheel issue. So if you have the wide wheel, either the previous, so the first generation or the second generation, please stop riding that as of right now. And if you see people riding that scooter, just stop. There is... So Fluid Free Ride, we're working on the review and message them with our questions about, we started seeing some issues with the braking, people getting into accidents because brake failures and things like that. It looks like, and then I guess they were getting other comments and whatnot. So Mercane is sold all over the world. The US distributor is Fluid Free Ride. Fluid Free Ride is actually quite responsible in this regard, where they kind of took it upon themselves to do all the investigation and research, and now they're working with Mercane to get a fix going for the scooter. So right now, do not ride that scooter. There's only a couple percent where the brake is failing, but until we know more, just, walk or something. Okay. Other stuff that's happening is our boosted written review will be released today, which we're excited about, but I'll go through all of our findings. The Kabu Mantis review should be able to go out next week. That's the one we're working on now. eMove Touring will be next up after that. You can find that at Vora Motors. Then we've got the Mosquito, Fluid Free Ride Mosquito, and then the Gleon Dolly. We already have a review, but we're gonna get performance testing done on the Gleon Dolly in case you're interested in that. Okay. So some other news. So news from the industry. So we kind of collect news from other sellers all over the world and let us know. So right now, eWheels is their kind of Turbo Wheel 8. It's kind of like the 08. It's like a clone of that scooter. It's really the same scooter. They're under production with an LG 12.8 amp hour battery that will be similar to the Turbo Wheel Dart, I believe. They call it the T9 for short. But it will have a front brake, which will be kind of cool because right now that just has the rear drum brake. And so it'll be pretty interesting at the $750 price category. That category is heating up quite a bit. And then also their Turbo Wheel Lightning, which is similar to the 010X, is going under upgrades, including getting hydraulic brakes and some other surprises. So we will kind of like wait to see what happens there. Okay, so let's move on to the Boosted Rev. So we're pretty excited to get the Boosted Rev. A lot of reviews have been coming out from, well, there's a few from scooter people, but mostly it's like The Verge and just websites that aren't really, they don't really know about electric scooters that much. Not that they're bad, they're just, you know, they're just not as deep into this whole thing as we are. So I'm going to give you just the basic specs, and then I'll give you what we found because we did a full performance test on this scooter. And as we go through, I will try to keep my eye on comments and answer them as we kind of go through here. So just throw your questions in. And also, I believe the senior product manager for Boosted should be logging in during the live chat. So, you know, certain questions I may not be able to answer, and then he should hopefully be able to answer that. And then anybody else that has Boosted Rev, you know, ask your questions. You can also ask questions about any other scooter, but you may want to wait till towards the end because I'm going to try to stay focused on the Boosted Rev. So Boosted Rev, you probably all already know the specs, so I'm just going to go through them real quick. Stated range 22 miles, weight 46 pounds, battery 370 watt hours, 24 mile per hour top speed, 249 pound max rider weight. The tires are I measured them about 3.25 inch pneumatic, dual front and back. The motor, dual 750 watt nominal. The brakes, very cool. It's got the dual regenerative braking on the wheel. Well, I'll get into that in a second. A rear disc and a rear foot brake. So it has, I guess you could say 3 triple redundant braking. Lights, front high mounted, very bright light, and a rear fender light that's also pretty wide. It's rated at IPX7, which means that you can... Most scooters are unofficially IP54. This is a 7, which means like theoretically you could submerge it in water, but really what that means is that range should be no range. We'll get into that later. Range will be rain will be no problem for the scooter. Warranty is 12 months. Really good for the industry. Price for $15.99 right now. Okay. Our testing. So we did our full performance testing, including range and everything else. So when we test it, so first up is range, and this is the one that everybody is talking about. Cool. Hey, Boosted just logged in. They said, hi, Chuck, and ESG viewers, you can read it, but if you're on Instagram, Sean Flanagan here to answer any questions about the Rev. So cool. Welcome, Sean, to our little show here. And yeah, welcome, and I hope everybody welcome him, but please ask your questions. Okay, so for range, we tested this in mode 3, right? So typically the manufacturer range is going to be, you're going to get 50 to 70% of that, and that is about what we found because we test on mode 3. I did the riding. I'm 165 pounds. I ride it as I would ride it. This scooter is extremely fast, and because of that, the range is going to go down. I got 10.3 miles of range on the scooter. When it comes to range, well, so I'll get into that in a second. Acceleration. So let's just keep going here. So acceleration, we measure we measure all the way up to 40 miles an hour. I'm too chicken to go past 40, but acceleration was 2.7 seconds to 15 miles an hour. That's really good. It actually just beats the wide wheel. So I'm going to compare this scooter to the wide wheel a lot because they're both dual motor. They're both about the same weight. This is 46, that's 45 pounds. It's kind of the closest scooter that I can think of that is around the same weight. It's a little less expensive, and it's dual 500 watt. But so this is faster than the wide wheel, and it's faster than the 010X, getting up to 15 miles an hour. You can check our performance metrics if you go to our website, electric-scooter.guide. I gotta read this question. Mr. Accountant MBA CPA says, is this a good first scooter for a retired senior citizen? That's an awesome question. Yeah, so in mode 1, yes. In mode 3, you better be careful. All right, so in mode 1, yes. Actually, I'm gonna get into that, but overall, I absolutely think this is a fantastic scooter. I hate seeing reviews from other people that say it's the best scooter out there when they don't know what they're talking about. It's not that I'm the most expert in the world, but you know, I think I'm closer than others. It's a good first scooter. It's extreme, and so for a senior citizen, the first thing we think of is safety, and I'll get into that in a second. So acceleration, 2.7 seconds to 15 miles an hour. It beats the 010X, which is crazy. It beats the wide wheel, and it's actually very close to the Dualtron Spider. The hill climb completed our 200-foot, 10% average grade hill climb in 9.98 seconds. Again, that beat the wide wheel. It's slightly slower than the 010X and 08X. Okay. The top speed does max out at 24 miles an hour. It's usually 23, 24, something like that. Braking distance, final test. So braking, we do it from 15 miles an hour to 0. We got 17.5 feet for braking, which is actually quite good. Anything under 20 feet is actually pretty good. So with this test, I use dual electronic brakes plus the disc simultaneously, and we do this multiple times. We take the average. If you only use the electronic brakes, which I actually do use only the electronic when I'm typically doing riding, just like when I'm doing range tests, or just I ride this scooter every day right now. Basically, you don't need to use the disc brake very much because, unless you're crazy start and stop person, but slowing down, it actually does well with just the dual electronic. The other scooter that uses this type of technology is the Unagi Model 1. It actually does a good job too. Single electronic brake, like on the ES2, don't recommend. It's just not fast. But when you have two regenerative brakes or electronic brakes, it is actually quite good. So that stopped in 29 feet if you are using the regenerative brake. Cool, yeah. And then we posted the performance data. So if you want to see the performance data, just click on the link. It's in the live chat right now. Finally, our 200-foot time. So we, instead of the quarter mile, right, we do 200 feet because, scooters. We got a 200-foot time of 7.95 seconds. Again, a little bit faster than the wide wheel, a half second behind the 8X and the 10X. So the story of the scooter is, well, so those are specs, but now I'm going to tell you about how I felt when riding it. So I'm going to answer another question here. So Jamar Wilson, hello, is located in Finland, and they have rough winters. Is it capable to ride through slush commuting to work? So no scooter is really great for snow and slush. If you are going to ride through snow, slush, things like that, the best thing you can do is get the off-road style tires and go in a very kind of mode 1 type of mode, so you don't spin the wheels too quickly and lose traction that way. It's kind of like a car when you put it in snow mode. It has really slow acceleration. So that is going to be your best bet. I don't know. Sean can answer if they are going to release some off-road tires for this scooter or what he thinks about this question. We have not tested it in snow because there's no snow yet. But if Boosted lets me keep this scooter, I will promise to test it out in the snow for you. The scooters that may work really well in the snow be like the Wolf Warrior, because it does have those off-road tires. Some of the Zero scooters have off-road tires as well, so definitely check those out. Okay, so now you know the specs. We do have more specs, and we're gonna update our spec page really soon. But I just kind of want to go over what I think Boosted got right with this scooter, and then I'm gonna go over what I think that could be improved on this scooter. My list is a bit longer for what they got right, which is great. And overall, I do like riding this scooter. I mean, love is a strong word. I really, really like it. It's my cat in the background. So number one, what they got right. So the most like salient point here is that it's just so fun, and it's fun because of a few things. You've got a super low deck height, maybe the lowest deck height that I've ever seen on an electric scooter at 1.75 inches high. You couple that with the super oversized tires. So these are wide tires. They're like almost as wide as a wide wheel tires, right? They're 9 inches, so they're 9 by about 3.25 inches. And you add that to probably what is the most responsive acceleration on any scooter as well. Not only responsive, but also extremely linear in the way that you feel that acceleration when you turn the little thumb wheel. It makes for one of the most fun rides that I have ever been on. My favorite thing is I go play pickleball a lot, and I turn, there's a left turn, and I wait for cars and stuff. But when I turn right, and I don't have to wait for cars, I kind of slow down before the turn, and I just push that accelerator. I always ride it on mode 3, unless I'm like in the city or something. But if I'm like in the suburbs, ride it on mode 3, and I can tear around the corner, leaning into the turn. I'm so confident that the scooter can like handle that turn because of the really big tires, the low center of gravity. Carving on the scooter is kind of as good as it gets. I mean, there are other fun rides out there, right? You're on the Dualtron or you're on the Wolf Warrior. You're kind of like a foot high and you're floating basically. But there's a different feel when you are really low to the ground, and you are getting extreme feedback from the accelerator wheel. It's fun. It's really fun. Okay, next up, this is all the things I think they got right, and I'm gonna keep going back and forth to the comments and try to get good. Pedro. Okay. Next thing, so the throttle is a wheel. Okay, it's a wheel, and it's horizontally positioned, right? So as you grip the thing, right, instead of a thumb throttle, which is usually up and down, or a trigger stop throttle where you're kind of pulling your finger like this, you actually use your thumb, right, and you pull back this way to slow down, and that activates the electronic brakes both at the same time. You don't have to do anything. And it's a fast acceleration, right? Electronic brakes, when you're going fast or when you're in mode 3, when you're in mode 3, it will slow you down so fast that you actually kind of need to lean back when you're slowing down because your weight's going to get thrown forward. When you push the accelerator away from you with the thumb, that's where you get that's where the motors kick in. Both motors kick in the same time. There is no single motor mode unless mode 1 or 2 does that. I typically always ride in mode 3. When you push that accelerator, it's a fully linear experience. So if you ride a lot of extreme scooters, you'll know that like sometimes you just barely press on that trigger throttle and it just kills you, right? It just like throws your head back, which is fun. But not always so safe, because if you have the wheel slightly turned, you're going to peel out in the wrong direction, or if you're around bikes, you're going to scare people and whatever. It's fun. This, you can modulate the speed better because it looks to be an infinitely linear acceleration experience. So as you push that thumb forward, if you just want to get a little power, you can get a little power, which is very cool. And when you're going 15 miles an hour, if you want to accelerate faster, right, you just push it a little farther, you get very instant feel with the acceleration. I don't know what they're using as their controller, but it's not the same controller that anybody else is using until the Chinese manufacturers figure out a way to like rip this thing off, which I'm sure they'll do, I think that this might be the most responsive accelerator feel that I've also ever felt, which is cool. It's fun. I mean, it's definitely fun. Electronic brakes. Let me just look to see if there's more comments. How do you like the Rev's thumb throttle wheel compared to typical thumb paddles and finger trigger throttles? Yeah, struggle Russ asks. Cool. Yeah, so I'm going over that now, and I'm actually gonna get to some downsides to that wheel throttle, because there are some downsides I think to it in terms of rideability, but as far as like responsiveness and the braking power, the fact that you don't really even need to use the disc brake unless you're like in an emergency and you need an extra 10 feet per 15 miles an hour of stopping power. For 95% of my typical ride, I'm good on just the electronic brakes, and it works well because your hands right there. So electronic electronic brakes, well executed. Yep. Build quality, fantastic. I mean, it's very good. Everything is quality materials. It is like, it feels so solid. There's no rattle. There's no stem wobble. When it locks into place, when you've got it folded, that's perfect. I love the way that when you push the stem back up, you push the little lever to lock it in. It's got this little clip that kind of comes over so you can't accidentally pull the thing down. Some really cool little touches, even as far as, I don't have it, it's behind me, but the power cord, it's silly. It's silly, but it's these little things. The little power cord, it's just made out of a thicker rubber even, right? It's different. Also, I would say they did a good job with the IPX7 rating, right? So they kind of have to like seal it a little bit better. Safety. So talking about safety, I would say this safety is basically 5 out of 5. For safety, we look at about 5 components. We look at the tires. Are they pneumatic or are they solid? Pneumatic being safer. We look for lights. Do they have them? Number one, it does. And then is the front light mounted high, right? Because if it's mounted low, less chance that a car is going to see you. So we look at how high the light is mounted. Not only is the light mounted high, but it's also swivel adjustable in a vertical position. So you can kind of, you can tilt it a little bit, which is great. It's also really bright. So I think they say on their site 450 lumens or something like that. I have a meter here too that we measure all scooters at. If you point it directly, at the brightest point, it's about 1250, 1300 lumens, which is better than most, in fact. Let's see. Top speed. So top speed, again, we manage the Reddit, we manage a lot of platforms, and so we hear a lot of feedback. And so a lot of people are like, gosh, for $15.99, I want more speed. And I get that, right? Some people do want more speed. Personally, I ride maybe up to 30 sometimes on scooters. I don't typically ride over 30 miles an hour because I don't know if you've ever ridden a scooter, you kind of know that like there's a limit to what I think the general public should be riding. Now, if you're you're just like awesome and you love the speed and like Alien Rides, Kevin out there, I mean, he's good. He knows how to ride at fast speed. That is not everybody. So if you're everybody, if you're 90% of the people out there, if you get into some accidents, right? If you're not like perfect, whatever, I actually think that the speed is right on. And I've said this for a long time. 20 to 25 miles an hour is fast. When you're commuting, 15 is okay, right? I think that's the legal limit in California. 20 to 25 is like absolutely enough. I think 25, I mean, you're basically feeling a lot of wind, and that's really good. So I have no problem with the speed, and by limiting the speed, you do get some benefits in terms of a little bit longer range for the power, right? So like this, I calculated the watt hours per mile. I think it's like 34, 35 watt hours per mile. The eMove Cruiser, which is a 600 watt single motor scooter, I believe, is at 45 watt hours per mile. So it's actually using up more power. And the reason is that that one can go up to about 31 miles an hour. And that is how I ride it when I do the range test. So by limiting speed, you do get a little farther for the same amount of battery. And we'll get into the battery soon. Sorry. Okay, I'm going to answer some questions and I'll keep going back. So let me just talk more about the thumb throttle, because I know Struggle Russ, you're waiting for that answer. So I talked about the good. Now, there are some things I don't 100% like about the thumb throttle. And I guess the biggest thing is that when you're riding, because the scooter does not have suspension, on good roads or average roads, it's great. It's just fine. If you're on poor roads, you're going to feel the bumps quite a bit. And when you're feeling the bumps a lot and you're trying to hold your thumb either fully maxed out throttle, or worse would be, in the middle, right? Trying to maintain a speed of 15 or something like that, you can't do it. Like when you're going over bumps, you just can't. And that's an issue. That's I think unique to the horizontally positioned thumb throttle. Build quality, all that stuff, excellent. Responsiveness, all this stuff, excellent. But when it comes to going over bumps, right, which our route in Berkeley here has a lot. Like it's the roads here, you would think they're good. They're not good. They're bad. Hope the city of Berkeley is watching now. They're fixing the roads slowly. But you just can't hold on to it, right? And because you are trying to hold on to it, right, you're trying to like really maintain a perfect kind of thumb positioning like this or whatever, you end up really tightening the other fingers, right, which causes your hand to cramp a little bit. And this is on, I would say, after 4 or 5 miles, I have to go a little bit like this when I'm at a stop sign or stoplight. So not, I don't know the solution for that. This is a new feature that we haven't seen before, so nobody really, So I don't love it on long rides, especially over bumps, because it's just hard to hold on to. What I end up doing is just taking my thumb off completely, holding onto the handlebars, because you kind of need to if you're going over some big bumps fast. And that's okay. I mean, that's not the worst thing in the world to decelerate a little bit, right? The scooter is so fast that if you are on bumps and you can kind of like manage to keep your thumb fully engaged on the throttle, you will get tires like spinning and burning out almost over bumps, and it makes a little high pitched noise, which is kind of awesome and super fun, and I love doing it. So it just takes a little getting used to that ride. The other thing is, after a while, right, if you're on a longer ride, again, you can't. It's like you can't really keep your thumb fully pressed out like you can with a thumb throttle that goes downwards, where you can kind of keep it engaged for a long time. You really have to, you kind of just have to let off and reposition every, I don't know, minute or two, something like that. Again, not really a big deal, but that's what you guys don't pay us to do. No, I'm just kidding. That's mean. That's what we kind of get paid to do, is go through all these little nuances. So that's what I think about the thumb throttle. Let's see if there's some more questions. So Boosted Board says rev tires are optimized for fair weather traction, featuring a motorcycle-like profile, but we can't recommend using these tires in snowing or frozen conditions. It's a great answer. 711 asks, fluid freeride Horizon or Rev? Come on, man. I mean, one scooter is double the price of the other, basically, a little more than double. I think the Horizon beats it on range for sure. Portability for sure. But for other metrics, the Boosted will kind of beat it out. Which one would I ride? Typically my rides are not more than 10 miles in a day. And in that case, the Rev is more fun. Like, just hands down, it's more fun. It might be one of the funnest scooters like ever. Okay, let's see here. Doesn't your thumb get tired? So Param Jolly asks, doesn't your thumb get tired? I don't think it has cruise control. Yeah, I don't believe it has cruise control unless the app does, and I don't believe it does. Boosted, Sean can probably chime in here. So the thumb doesn't really get tired you just need to reposition it. I think on long rides, your hands might get a little tired. But again, I think my guess is what Boosted did when they did the research and product development on this is they probably look at what is the mileage people are going. And actually, I just, I didn't post it, but last night I went through our survey from 6 months ago and figured out what is the average range that people ride their scooters, the personal market. And as far as I know, we're one of the few people that have this data. 84% of people are 10.3 miles or less. So like I just did a little histogram for myself and looked at the data. We had 209 responses for all over the world. 84% are 10.3 miles or less, because that is just kind of what scooters are geared for, right? If you're going to go super long distances, there are some scooters that can kind of do that, but you need suspension, you need the tires like this one. The Boosted Rev is really for, you could definitely ride it a few miles each way, no problem. And if you have good roads or even average roads, you're going to have a blast and it's going to be just fine. If you've got 4 miles each way, then you just need to buy an extra charger and just keep it at your work or your school or wherever you go during the day. So that's what I would recommend. So I think it's not as much about range because 10.3 miles in maximum. This is also in mode 3 with me riding, and I max the damn thing out constantly. If you are not maxing it out, or you ride in mode 2, and when I'm in San Francisco, I took it to San Francisco for the Cannonball race, the Bay Eastgate. Shout out to you guys. Awesome, really, really fun weekend. So we took it out there for the Cannonball race in San Francisco, and I put it in mode 2 when I'm in the city because I'm around tourists and buses and all kinds of stuff, and I don't need to be peeling out and accidentally have my tire turn when I'm peeling out, either scare people or, I'm new with the scooter, forget which way is like brake and gas, which I've done a couple times already. So with mode 2, we should test it on mode 2, but you're going to get a lot more than the 10.3. Worst case scenario, you just get an extra charger, which again, Sean may know about how much that costs or if and how they're available, but it doesn't look like a unique charger to me. It looks like a kind of a standard charger. They're not using a special pin or anything like that. So so that's what I think about that. Let's see here, more questions. How is the comfort compared to Inokim suspension scooter? So compared to a scooter with pneumatic tires and suspension, it will not be as comfortable. So this scooter, you really feel the road more. And that's a good thing and a bad thing, right? So for comfort, right, on good roads, when you're on a regular road, right, that's been paved and whatnot, it's so fun. You don't feel the road bumps. The big giant pneumatic tires do dampen a lot. More than smaller pneumatic tires, right? If you're comparing it to Dualtrons that have suspension and pneumatic tires, right? That and really the use case is if you have very poor roads, then you would want suspension pneumatic tires. If you're on good roads, you're almost not going to notice the difference between having suspension and not. It's when you get into fair and poor roads that you really need to start thinking about suspension. Struggle Russ says, I think it's like cars. There's definitely folks who want fast sports cars, but most vehicles on the road are not that. I think the Rev is more of a solid commuter package than a speedster. Yeah, I mean, gosh, I don't know how to compare it to a car. I mean, it would be a sports car. It would be a small sports car because when you are looking at dual motor scooters, right? Especially at 750 watts per motor, you're looking at scooters that are actually bigger and heavier and cost more, actually. So when you look at our comparison guide and you type in 1500 watts or more, and you should just do this, just go to our website and just go to the comparison chart, look at all data, and you can get motor wattage. Look at the weight, because there's very few scooters that have this motor wattage that are this weight. I think the Spider is 44 pounds and it's 650 per wheel, I believe. The wide wheel is 500 watts per tire, and it's 45 pounds. something like this. This is 46 pounds. It's basically for its weight class, right? It is extremely powerful. So I would think of it as like a small sports car, right? Like I don't know, like a Miata, a small Porsche, something that is like kind of smaller, doesn't weigh so much, but corners fantastic, right? Like my old RSX, cornered fantastic, still fast, not the fastest of any, but fast enough that it's like perfectly fast for having a super fun time. Anyway, but really good comment, Struggle Russ. Joey McDonald asks, hey, Joey McDonald, I've seen you comment on a lot of our videos. Welcome to the show. I agree with your comment about speed, but for $1,600, I think you'd get more mileage. I think that's the major drawback. Do you feel the same? If not, why? Yeah. So that's kind of the biggest kind of like thing people are talking about, as far as I know, on this scooter is the range. And for a 370 watt hour battery, that is about the smallest that I've seen on any scooter in this price range for sure. And with this size of battery for sure. Boosted, I don't know Boosted, right? I just got in contact with them. I don't know Sean. We're not paid to do this. We don't even have an affiliate link with them, although we need to get on that. But as far as the mileage, right? So 370 watt hours, I know on other scooters about 280 watt hours equals about 3.3 pounds of more weight. So, the scooters can go bigger, right? And they could get more range, okay? However, and if you watch any of our kind of previous videos, don't watch them. They're really long, but I've always said that 45 pounds is my limit. And I said that before the Boosted came out, cause I go upstairs, I live upstairs and I don't have an elevator. 45 pounds is the weight after testing 20x more scooters or whatever I've tested and lived with for weeks and weeks at a time. If a scooter is 55 pounds, I find myself not using it as much. If a scooter is 35 pounds or up to 45, I find myself using it just fine. And that's maybe because I weigh 165. And for me, carrying a scooter in one hand up a flight of stairs should be not the worst experience in the whole world. And this literally is like a pound over what I kind of said is my limit. So in that sense, I use the scooter a lot. If the range was higher, right, or they added suspension, that increases the weight of the scooter. There's no scooter that I believe that is 1,500 watts. I mean, there's a couple, right? The Spider, and I mentioned a couple. But it's a rare thing to have this much power at this much weight. And to be able to carry that up one flight of stairs, I can't tell you. I mean, I have videos of me carrying, I literally carry the Wolf Warrior sometimes. It's 101 pounds. I have to carry it up the stairs because I'm doing reviews on it. I love that scooter. I would never own that scooter because of where I live. So when you think about all these things, you kind of have to look at everything all in a balance, right? For what you get, if you want it at this weight, I think this is kind of the limit. And I don't know if Boosted did testing, but if they did testing on me, I would have actually said, make a scooter that's about up to 25 miles per hour. Make a scooter that, well, I probably would have had suspension on it, but make a scooter that doesn't weigh more than 45 pounds. Otherwise, I wouldn't personally buy it. So, so again, like I'm not paid to say this, but I think that they hit those specs. What I would have said and what I have said a lot of times before is that's what you need to hit. If you're going to hit that, then going to more range is going to increase the weight. Now, gosh, if they would have just added about 280 watt hours more for another 3 pounds, would I still get it? Would I buy it myself? I don't know. So that's a hard one. Yeah, that's a really hard one. But right in mode 2, which is still really fun, you're going to get probably, I'm guessing 12 to 15 miles is my guess. And 10 miles for my commute. I only commute to downtown Berkeley and back. Typically, it's only a mile or two, right? So I do that twice. It's actually no problem. I can also take my charger. How many people, think about this is really what you need to do. Think about your commute. Think about how far you go on your commute each way. Think about all the errands you run. Think about going out on the weekends, right? And just think, like, if you're going to go up hills and blast around on the weekends and you're going to go more than, I don't know, 3 or 4 miles each way, right, there and back, that's probably the limit to be safe. However, there is kind of one other interesting thing I almost forgot to mention about the scooter that is a plus is the deck height. The deck height, well, there's plus and minuses to deck height. The deck height is the lowest I think of any scooter that I know of. And so with the deck height, because I do the range test, so of course I run out of battery because that's what the range test is. It's to run out of battery. Luckily, most of the time it's after I go up. There's about a 4% grade hill that I go all the way up, and that's usually where most scooters are out, which is great because then I can come back without power. In this case, right, it comes back, and then I've got another, I don't know, quarter mile, half mile that I have to go. Most scooters are up higher, which means if you run out of power and need to kick it, like the old school style, it's a big pain in the ass when you're up a foot high, right? You're basically just walking it. With this scooter, I got a workout, but I actually was able to kick it and maintain about 8 or 10 miles an hour on a flat ground, and I got home, no problem. So if it's not a light scooter, so it's going to take more power than like an E2 type scooter or whatnot. But there is some safety, there's a backup for you. Okay. I'm rambling on about this particular question. Okay. Wow. The comments are coming in pretty fast now. Let me see what I can, Nathan. Nathan. Yeah, cool. So yeah. Hey Nathan. It's cool you're watching. He says, love that you are data driven regarding the average rider's trip length. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So we do, we have the same test loop that we ride in Berkeley. Also all of our speed and acceleration tests are on the same terrain at the same time of day every time. And we also now use Race Logic equipment for that testing. So that's similar to what they use for cars and, that type of thing. Yeah. And then Boosted is mentioning that Rev doesn't currently feature a cruise control, but it's a feature they're evaluating. We designed the throttle wheel to minimize thumb strain, require less movement than any other type of throttle. Yeah, so cruise control is, I think it's actually good that they didn't put cruise control on there at first, because when you're a new rider and a lot of people, this is their first scooter, cruise control is not safe if you are new to electric scooters. I don't recommend for all the manufacturers out there, like really good ones, such as like Rev Rides, they go through all their scooters and I believe they adjust the settings to go to Imperial, to hit cruise control off, things like that. Because when you have cruise control on and you are, I don't know, at the top of a hill, let's just say, and you're turning around or you're cornering at the top of a hill, all of a sudden you're going to get a big blast of power. And that can throw you off a lot. So cruise control, it's a cool feature for people that have long straightaways and things like that, but not a feature that is needed out of the box. But it would be cool to get a firmware update at some point from Boosted. Sean, Boosted also says, as part of our safety first design principles, we place the throttle as close to the bars as possible to ensure riders can maintain a solid 4-finger grip on the handlebars. So yeah, so that's all. Totally agree. It is right next to you. You don't need to move your hand, and you are in a good riding position for that, for while you're riding, right? You don't want to be, I do absolutely like it better than the trigger style. The trigger style throttles, I don't really like. We always recommend the thumb style throttles. It's not a huge difference, but when you're riding for a long time, being here is not comfortable, right? Especially on the big scooters. And if you don't have huge hands, right, you got to really stretch out that finger, and then you're it's not comfortable after a while. So being in a riding position, either with the vertical or horizontal, is absolutely better than the trigger style. Brian Gonzalez, you may have covered this, but how do you compare to Ninebot Max? I have Indiegogo Max and very happy. Also Speedway 3, Max surprisingly capable and gets 30-mile range easily. Great. So compared to the Max, so Max I believe is 350. This is the biggest difference, right? The Max is 350 watts, I believe. Just someone correct me if I'm wrong, because this is all just from memory. I should look it up. The biggest difference is going to be your fun factor, I guess. 350 is good. If it's your first scooter, 350 is fine, right? The Boosted is a good first scooter, right? Because you can go to mode 1 and check it out, but it's also as fun as any scooter out there when you're in mode 3, and just be safe, right? Wear your helmets, of course. Otherwise, Ninebot Max, we only rode a spin version of that scooter. So it was, I mean, it's the same model. They just didn't have the folding stem on that, but the stem does fold. It's a little long when you have it, out. So make sure that you can fit that in your car or in an Uber and whatnot, because that is part of the benefit of having an electric scooter, is you're able to fit it in the back of your car. The Boosted Rev, I actually just wrote this down. I think it's 44 inches long. Oh gosh. I don't know where I wrote it, but we're adding it to the review right now. The handlebars don't fold, and they are about 24 inches wide. So, it's not the most compact scooter, but compared to the Ninebot Max, I believe that it is quite a bit shorter lengthwise, and that may help you when you're getting it into cars or under, basically it's more for when you take an Uber when it rains or something. You don't want to go back on your scooter, or it's nighttime, or for me, I meet my fiance for a movie. She doesn't want to ride the Ford Go Bike or whatever, and so we take an Uber together. I need this scooter to fit in the back of a car. Stan L says, people that don't have the Rev complaining. I have the Rev replacing the ES4 and can say there's little to complain about. Rev owners I see on the Reddit like me see more pros than cons. That's by Stan. Yeah. I mean, I didn't know what to say. I heard some good things. I heard some bad things. It's all personal. It's just a personal thing. It's not like you can say one car. I mean, yeah, there's some cars that are bad, but cars like scooters are personal, and you have to think about your road conditions, your commute length, all that kind of stuff. We have a video, if you're watching and you are trying to figure this out for the first time, right? There's a video called How to Choose the Perfect Scooter that I wasn't going to release because I thought it was too long, but I just threw it out there, and it now is our most popular video ever. People are linking to it left and right, because what I did in that video is I went through every single specification or feature on a scooter to explain the differences and why you would choose one or the other, because there's about 14, 15 different very important features on an electric scooter that you need to think about, and it's all about your commute, the amount of hills you have, the road conditions, like how much portability do you go on BART, all those things. Watch that video if you're trying to figure out what is the right scooter for you, because you can't just say, hey, people ask me all the time, well, what's the best scooter? And it's like, what's the best car? What am I going to say to that? Okay. Stan L says, yes, the only complaint is range. I just bring my charger everywhere. Hopefully Boost will sell a larger battery pack soon. Yeah. I mean, I agree. It's just, and for me, scooting around the town, it is no problem, and I love it. But if you have a longer commute, right? If you're going, right, 10.3 miles, that is like uphills, downhills, start, stops, whatever. You're probably gonna get a little more than that. And again, that's mode 3. So mode 2, you're gonna get further, and mode 1, nobody's riding these in mode 1. Well, you should if you're new to the scooters. Okay. Mauricio Callejas. I don't know if I said that right. It would probably be comparable to BMW M3, and faster ones would be like a McLaren P1. Okay. Joey Robinson says, one does not need to own the Boosted Rev to see how lackluster it is. My Mercane MX60 or even my 09 offer more than this hype scooter. It's an interesting opinion. I don't 100% agree with that opinion. I think they're really different, right? MX60 is bigger, heavier. Mercane needs, and also just, if just hold off. I mean, just look at the brakes and make sure they're not the same as on the wide wheel. 09, and again, is a fantastic scooter. Totally different use case than the Rev. 09, single motor, suspension, right? It's more of a slower accelerating, longer range commuter. So if you want something that's like a little more chill, right? It's still fast, still going to put a smile on your face. And we love this. That's our recommended scooter, I think under $1,200 still. it's a fantastic scooter, really different than the scooter. Comparing the two is not, it's again, it's not, it's like comparing a Camry, maybe. I'd say the 09 is kind of like the Camry, right? Pretty fast, pretty nimble, pretty good in all respects, actually. This is more sports car. Okay. Boosted is talking about in terms of range, headroom in the battery, maybe huge amounts of power to be dumped back into the battery. Yeah, Mauricio says range and suspension is what they would like to see. I'm sure Boosted is knowing all this, I'm guessing. JP Orr, if people buy it and enjoy it, that's great, but there's nothing that you can tell me that's justifying $1,600 scooter. Oh boy. Okay, I'm trying to catch up with some comments here. Those of us who know, yeah, I mean, I think it's about the weight. I think if you want a heavier scooter, right, there are definitely scooters with better specs out there. The Spider is the one that really comes to mind that is really similar to this, similar specs, similar acceleration, similar weight. I believe that does have suspension. The tires are a little more narrow on the Spider. Spider's super, super fun. It's also $2,450. So again, like there, I mean, it's interesting the comments we're getting. And I don't disagree. I just think you have to think of classifying scooters by weight and then seeing where this kind of fits into that. Okay. Yeah. Pedro's talking about basically if you have to carry it, that's a fundamental issue. 711. Yeah, I'm looking for questions at this point. It's a great conversation though. Dude, you can't really consider yourself a scooter commuter if you only commute 1.5 miles each way. I don't see why. I don't see why doesn't make any sense. I mean, commuting means you go from one place to the other and back, and that's your trip, and that's where I work. Okay. Stan L says, well, I bought mine based on Boosted's reliability. The other thing I'll mention is that the Boosted scooters, I think their skateboards too, all have a 1-year warranty, which is kind of rare. I'm trying to think of other, maybe Mini Motors USA has 1 year. Shoot, I should know this. I have the brand page that we need to release where we kind of go over all the specs on what manufacturers are doing what, but I'll just say very, very few that I know of have a 1-year warranty. So you do have that with Boosted. Let's see here. Only time will tell, but I had problems with my 9bot after 150 miles, whereas there's none with the Rev. Okay. You're correct on 350 watts for the max. Yeah, Boosted's responding. Nathan says it's well designed. Sorry, I don't know why I'm reading comments. Y'all can read comments here. What are your... Okay, here's a question. All right, thanks for a question. I mean, it's cool. It's cool everybody's talking. Also, there's on Instagram... Instagram RideSway, which is doing a great job in the industry, is saying that if a scooter... This is on Instagram... if a scooter is replacing a car or a means of commuting, you'll end up paying more for that range and quality. I mean, needless to say, right, a $1,600 scooter that gets the equivalent, I did the math, and it's on one of our previous Instagram posts, but it was the amount of distance that you can go for $20 with a Camry, with a Tesla, and with a Xiaomi M365, which is 19 or 25 watt hours per mile. This one's about 35 watt hours per mile maxed out. So on that Xiaomi, it was 8,707 miles, 8,700 miles you can go for $20 worth of electricity. For a Tesla, I believe it was 570 miles. And for a Camry, it was like 170 miles. So I mean, I think we all know, I hope we all know the benefits of owning a scooter in terms of your cost to yourself, but also the cost to the planet, right? Like scooter sharing, great, it actually kind of helped create this market, but those scooters are getting thrown away, and there's so much maintenance and people have to pick them up, and that is energy and all this stuff. And when you're talking about the planet, I think I've seen some studies that actually say that for the planet, it actually is cheaper to ride a scooter than to eat food and use a bicycle. And I may be wrong, but like if and when I go around and I see in Berkeley there's a lot of older people, and sometimes they're like, I hate scooters, and they're thinking of the scooters that are on the street that are blocking the sidewalks, right? In the personal market, we don't do that, right? We take them into, we don't want to leave them on the street because they're going to get stolen because people want these. We're like riding responsible. We wear helmets, right? Like these are all things that us as the personal scooter community do that the ride sharing doesn't. So when I see the nice, hopefully old lady that says, I don't like scooters, is like, well, your generation kind of messed up the planet. And so like, this is why I ride a scooter, because not only is it like good for the planet, but also it's just like, I don't have to sit in gridlock, right? The world population is going up. Urbanization is going up. Micromobility is not going away. This is a trend that's here to stay. And whether it's an electric scooter, an electric bike, a one-wheel electric unicycle, e-skateboard, whatever you got, this is the future. It's not going anywhere, right? Micromobility, first industry to 500 million users in the history of technology. There's no technology in the world that has gotten user adoption as fast as this one. There's no industry where a company got to $1 billion valuation as fast as Bird did in the history of business. So, there's reasons why these exist. I don't know why I'm talking about all this, but I think that these are not going anywhere. And I don't know what question I was actually answering. Sorry. What are your thoughts between the scooter and the Speedway 4 Pro eMove Cruiser? Speedway 4, yeah. That they're about the same price. Yeah, you're right. They are about the same price. Boom, 7% off if you want that eMove Cruiser with our coupon code Electric Scooter Guide. There are some benefits of the eMove Cruiser. They do have suspension. They do. So, okay, in a nutshell, I get into the details a little too much. So, in a nutshell, the eMove Cruiser is a cruiser, right? It's still fast. It's a 600 watt single 600 watt motor. It does peak at 1500, which is great for those hills. So it does climb hills okay. It has great suspension, great rideability, fantastic just build quality. It's got turn signals built in. Like it's awesome for like cruising. It's not super fast. Excuse me. It's not. It does have great tires. Probably similar. It's not proprietary tires or anything like that. The new version is going to have hydraulic brakes. But it's a I love that scooter. It's actually like one of my favorite scooters. It is 55 pounds, right? And the neck on that thing, actually has a ridge that makes it feel heavier, actually. So the 55 pounds feels more like 60, 65. And so I love it. But when I had that scooter in our daily rotation, right now it's in the storage unit. We need to bust it back out. Or actually, I think we're giving that to our Reddit mod because he's done such a good job. Fed Up with Tech, shout out to you if you're watching. That scooter, I wouldn't use it for shorter commutes because it is a little heavier. But on longer commutes, right, it also goes 35 miles, which is crazy. So I think that like for longer trips, the eMove Cruiser kind of wins. For shorter trips or on good conditions, I would probably recommend this one. But again, there's other differences too. Okay, let me just keep going here. Sorry. We got to have a way to like tag questions because like it's great to see the chat, but great live. Oh, Georgie. Hey, Georgie. Georgie is from Georgia. We're also about to log off Instagram, so thanks for watching, everybody on Instagram. 3, 2, 1, you're out. Bye-bye. But we'll keep going for another couple minutes on the YouTube here. Yeah, Georgie has a new scooter company in Georgia, and he always kind of logs on, which is fantastic. So yeah, shout out to you. Thanks for watching. E-Move louder motor or same as Boosted? Brian asks. Boosted is not much noise. The only noise that you can actually hear is a small little clang when you go from neutral to brake or neutral to acceleration sometimes. And it's hard to hear, but you can kind of hear it's like a little kunk, like that and it's coming from in here, and don't really know what that is. It doesn't seem like any kind of defect, and it's not loud enough to really notice. The E-Move does have some motor stress when you're going up hills and whatnot. The Boosted does not have really any noise. Like, it's a silent assassin. Okay, I'm gonna say last chance for questions right now. I didn't really get through all my notes. You should check out our review on the E-Move Cruiser, which will be released today. My business partner in all of this is we try to finish it beforehand, but like, you know, we're trying to also have like a great, like a finished product that's like really, really good, as we take a lot of pride in these reviews. So I'll just finally mention that you can find us here every Tuesday at 12:30 p.m. I will not be here the next 2 weeks because I'm going to England, to Scotland, taking a little vacation. And I'm hoping that Ben Fox sees this, because I'd love to like just say hi to Ben Fox, because he's like an inspiration to me. And what else? And please, I'll be checking the Facebook and everything while we're gone. I'll try to release some videos so that they get released during the 2 weeks. But yes, I'll be back on October, late September. We're trying to get a show with Alien Rides, so we can talk about some of like the beast scooters, because he's all about that. If you're interested in that kind of stuff, check out his channel. Also, Bay Area Eastgate. Well, this is worldwide audience, but shout out to them for throwing a great cannonball race last weekend. Okay, I'm not answering that question. It's not a question. RJZ, I don't know. He says, why are you so dismissive of senior citizens? I don't think I'm dismissive of senior citizens. I'm basically a senior citizen myself. I play pickleball every morning with senior citizens. But I also think that as you get older, you get more into safety. And so one of the things for senior citizens is like, you know, put it on mode 1 before you go, right? I think that would be the thing to do. Anyway, okay. Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Brian, saying safe travels. Yeah, so anyway, check out all of our stuff. We got reviews coming out while I'm gone, because I'm going to get all of the performance and all my writing notes done before I leave, and then our photographer will get all the photos, and then Justin does all the reviews and puts everything together. So you will see a ton released over the next 2 weeks while the show's not going. So please check back and look at our posts and whatnot. Also, no, that's it. Ride safe, and don't forget to wear your helmet, and we'll see everybody later. Thank you to Sean Flanagan from Boosted for coming out and being on the live show today. It was super helpful to have you here. Shout out to Boosted for giving us a scooter to review. You know, so anyway, hope you all have a great next 2 weeks, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.